I was living this lifestyle right here. Yeah.
Is that the same shirt?
Actually, that is the same shirt. That's yours.
Oh my God, it happened. He caught it. He caught can't read roomitis.
Last night, Mom dressed up as Catwoman and she sat on Dad's couch and she was scratching him and then she went, yeah.
Could have homes on separate coasts, go dive in Greece with squids. Could have been so bleeping rich, but instead we had kids. They won't smile for a photo, they won't eat the food we choose. That's why we're heading to the parents' lounge to drown ourselves in booze. Every day we're more exhausted, we haven't slept in years. They hit me in the nuts so bad, my eyes filled up with tears. And yes, we'd like to fake our death and go off of the grids, but the truth is we are softies and we truly love our kids. So join us every Tuesday night to laugh at all our pain. Evening in the parents' lounge is the cure to staying sane. Welcome to another edition of the Parents Lounge Live. We come in every Tuesday and share our parenting experience. This week we have a fantastic guest. I'm Jamie Kaler, joined by Jason Gowan and our resident mom and the voice of reason, Kate Mulligan.
Hello.
Hello.
We have a very special guest tonight, Jason, that is a friend of yours, and he's a hilarious comic and apparently an extremely large Giants fan.
I suspected he might be, but I there was never any definitive evidence.
Just a little, maybe just a little.
Do you want to do the honors, Jason?
Absolutely. Joe Becker was born and raised in Jersey City, New Jersey, but was refined in Upstate New York, where he owns and runs a successful barbershop. Joe started his comedy journey 10 years ago at the very first Clash of the Comics at the Syracuse Funny Bone. And he has performed at Dangerfields, Caroline's on Broadway, and the Gotham Comedy Club, to name a few. He also recently performed a sold-out show, a record-breaking show at the Funnybone Comedy Club in Syracuse. Ladies and gentlemen, my good buddy Joe Becker is here.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys having me on the Parents Lounge.
You're our first successful barber. I believe we've had Kate does some light hair cutting, but
just a little.
I wouldn't put the word
laser on myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
No, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Okay.
But Joe,
you don't laser the kids. I guess it's all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know, and it's so funny because we were talking before the show started, and you're like, dude, it's late for me. I mean, it's so funny because Jason's on the East Coast, but he's such a night owl that he still goes to sleep later than I do, and I'm on the West Coast, like time-wise. It's insane.
I know.
Your granddad's in bed by 7.
Me and Jason have had like 3:30 a.m. like, hey, what are you doing up messages on Facebook? Hey, man, what are you doing? He's like, I haven't been to bed yet. What about you? I'm like, I'm on my third pee of the evening. I'm trying to make it to the bathroom without sprinkling anywhere at this point, bud.
Oh, I gave up trying not to sprinkle. We've got 4 dudes that live in this house. My wife will never know the luxury of a clean toilet seat ever.
Oh, I sit down in my house, especially at night in the dark. I back up. I get in that vicinity and then I back until it touches the back of my leg and then just sit. It's all a very easy system.
My wife had to get one of those glow-in-the-dark toilet seats, and I thought that was going to help with aim. Nah, now it's just glow-in-the-dark piss-colored.
That's funny. So, Joe, tell us about your kids. You have... What do you have for
children? I have 4 kids.
Those jerseys are actually theirs.
I didn't want to
That's
say
how many
4, but I was like, I thought we had mentioned earlier. Jason had told me you had 4 children. And I was like,
Well, once you have 2, anything more than 2 is like I'm screwed anyway. So let's keep going.
Wow. That's
yeah,
such
I
a
do
take.
not feel that way. I think that I would not survive even one more kid here.
You know, I'll be honest. I'm blessed. My kids are great. I have a 19-year-old in her second year of college. I have a 17-year-old in her senior year of high school. I have a 12-year-old who's a redhead and a soulless ginger, which I'm sure Jamie,
That's what
you
Jamie
know.
has.
And then I have a 9-year-old son who looks absolutely like his mother, and I'm pretty sure people are telling him in school that I'm not his dad.
that's Hannah's.
No.
School photo.
Oh yeah.
Is that the new one?
Bad
I saw the picture you post on the video on the intro with the 2 redhead daughters. I'm like, oh, he gets me. You're gonna speak my language. Like, yeah. She is soulless. And she tells people, like strangers, she's like, I'm a soulless ginger. Don't talk to me. I'm like, you can't tell people that. It's not information you just divulge. Like, it's not a badge of honor to just tell people I'm a soulless ginger. They're gonna think you're a mean person. And
I
tell
everyone that anyway, just so they'll leave me alone. Like on a plane, they go, "Hi, what do you do for a living?" I go, "I'm a soulless ginger. Just leave me alone, or I'll bring this plane down."
Well, you can't say that.
Yeah.
I can't say that on a plane. Okay,
That feels like that segue.
I feel like you can say that, but you can't.
I got caught up because Joe said he goes, having 2 kids. After 2 kids, what's the difference? It's like having 4. And I was like, well, that's the same as like if you're in a car and you're like, oh, my steering's a little messy. Why don't I light myself on fire? Like, it's just, there's no reason to make things worse.
That's my little redhead.
Oh, nice.
You can't really see it there, can you? Let me get a better one.
She has a terrible glare. Does she?
Right.
Does she tell people that too? I'm
She's
a soulless
so white,
redhead
she's
with
reflective.
That's the soul. That's the soul reflecting back because you can't see it in them.
Let me see. Maybe because I'm at this window here. Here we go.
It's like vampires can't see their own reflection, and redheads just illuminate themselves.
Oh,
she's my little
soulless there. She looks like she loves Daddy.
Yeah,
she is. She's like the epitome of Daddy's girl, but she's also like a 30-year-old smart butt in a 12-year-old butt.
That's it.
Yeah, it's So I have allergies. If you live in upstate New York, I feel like everyone has allergies, and
we're right into the thick of that season.
So me and a buddy, we have a weekly, bi-weekly ritual where we get in the car, we take a drive, we go talk to the animals, as we like to call it.
Okay.
And I came home one day.
This is code for something.
Yeah, follow me. So I come home one day, and my 12-year-old looks me in the eyes with this very concerned look. And she goes, "Daddy, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "I'll be right back." And she runs in the bathroom, and she comes back with Visine. And I'm like, she goes, "Dad, your allergies are really kicking in today. Your eyes are red. You should take this." And I'm just like, yeah, soulless ginger. She knew what she was doing.
Well, we've talked about this many times because I was tormented as a child, as most redheads were. Even my daughter has been bullied. Like you can't help it. As a redhead, you're the center of the dartboard. You get picked on. There's a reason toreadors use a red cape to attract the bull, to incite the bull. Like red is anger.
Right.
So people attack us, and so yeah, we're used to. That's why I became a comic. I had to use my voice to stop getting pummeled.
I feel your pain.
Yeah, you get it.
You think that your daughter actually, like, she really knew what was up? She was like tongue in cheek. She's like, "Boy,
oh yeah,
allergies." I love her. I love her, Joe.
She knew as soon as I walked in the door. She handed me Visine, and then
she's
after
like, "Wow,
she
the
said
skunks are bad this time of year, huh?"
After she said my allergies were bad, she proceeded to hand me a bag of Doritos. And that's how I knew.
That's full service.
I love you, but you're a jerk.
Yeah,
okay?
I love her. I love her, Joe.
That's funny.
You keep listen. If you have to Sophie's choice, the 4 of them, you keep that one. That's the one you keep.
That's the one you keep.
But I got my 17-year-old is like my spitting image. She's my twin. And I mean that like in every way. Like she has my personality. She looks more like me than her mom. Blue eyes.
Does she have a goatee as well? It's weird.
No, thank goodness. She's a very beautiful young lady. I'm probably gonna have to catch.
Well, honestly, you have delicate, beautiful, feminine features, so I can only imagine how gorgeous she is.
I had to lose some weight because I was tired of people confusing me for a chubby lesbian when I spoke to them. And it was a little brutal.
Well, why do you have such nice lips? That's the issue. I'm like, I want to bring you lips in, but like to get filler. Be like, do this.
No, these are all. This is New Jersey pollution right here. This is what this is. This is all the pollution in New Jersey that just gives me all this.
Oh. It just put a permanent lacquer on it, huh?
Oh man!
But my 17-year-old, she does hair. She wants to do hair like me, and she's going to beauty school, and she's like I said, I'm blessed, but I'm glad she wants to do a trade because she's my dumb kid. Oh. Like we all have. Like she's great. But she's the one that I know when she speaks, I'm like, I'm not paying for college for this one.
Joe, you're saying you are speaking such a truth. It's like, and it's funny, but also college isn't actually for everybody.
It isn't.
It actually isn't. There's a thing now where everybody thinks everybody should go to college. And some people are really good at making things with their hands, and they should just go do things with their hands.
I knew my daughter wasn't going to go to college. Maybe about a year and a half ago, we had got her a goldfish. All my kids wanted a pet. We had that little, right around COVID, we got everybody a pet just to keep them occupied, like something small, a turtle, a hamster, a goldfish, something. So we got her a goldfish. And then I walked in her room one day and noticed the fish tank was like extremely dirty. And I'm like, hey, when was the last time you cleaned this tank? And she goes, I don't want the fish anymore, Dad. I'm like, well, what does that mean? She goes, well, I'm just going to let it die. And I'm like, that's not how this works. No. I'm like, I'll take the fish to the barbershop because they have a fish tank. Just in the morning, I'll come to your room. I'll get the fish and I'll let it die in its own natural cause. And I go in the morning, I knock on her door, and I open the door and I hand her a Ziploc bag and a red Solo cup. Oh. And I'm like, here. And she looks at me like, half asleep, starts walking towards me. I'm like, where are you going? She's like, I'm going to go fill the bag up with water. I'm like, no, silly. Take the cup, some of that dirty water with the fish, put it in the cup, put it in the bag, give me the bag. Now, the way the fish tank was set up, it was on the opposite side of her bed, so I couldn't like walk to it without crawling over her bed. So I gave it to her to give me the fish. She puts the fish in the Ziploc bag and then hands me the bag open. And I'm like, okay. And I go to zip it. She's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you're not going to poke holes in that? I'm like, for what? She's like, well, how's the fish going to breathe? And I'm like,
oh, not going to college, Joe.
Yeah, you're going to trade school. You're a dumbass.
I don't know if she's going to make it through beauty school. This is a really beauty school dropout. This is.
The kid's a natural at beauty school. But,
by the way,
can she just get a job at like the trampoline park in Vesta?
I'm just hoping Walmart greeter suits her, okay? High and by, you can't mess this up.
I can't wait till she's a parent and she has like a 2-year-old, and then the husband's like, "What's happening?" And it's like, I'm gonna ignore that thing till it dies and goes away because I don't want that to be any part of my life anymore. I made a decision. I don't want kids. I'm just gonna let it.
I hope my kids are not single parents because I'm not doing this twice. Okay, that's all I tell them.
You absolutely are, dude. That's the problem with 4. Listen, it's not about raising the 4. It's about shooting 4. You're shooting 4 rockets off into space.
Right.
1 or 2 are probably going to hit their target. 2 are going to get lost and return home. That's how it's going to go. So it's a mathematical.
No. I told my kids, like, when you leave, I'm going to be like, what's the guy's name? Terry Bradshaw on the movie Failure to Launch. I'm going to be naked all the time. Don't come over. Okay? Don't knock. I don't care. Don't even like have a key.
I'm changing the locks.
Dad will be singing. Okay? I don't care. When they leave, I'm never putting clothes on again. I can't wait.
What was it like when the kids were first born? Were you doing a lot of stand-up or were you doing haircutting at the time?
When my first daughter was born, I was talking to a lot of deers. I wasn't doing much of anything. I was 19, and
Your allergies were very bad.
my allergies were bad at 19.
Yeah.
And then I
Somehow your swimmers were okay though, huh? Good for you.
Yeah, thank God.
Despite all odds there, Joe.
Listen,
you definitely planned having a family at 19. You were like, look, this is illogical. I have no job, no income whatsoever. But you know what? I thought we'd maybe start a family. I thought this is we should plan.
Well, I mean, growing up in New Jersey and having the family, I come from a very long line of white trash. And if it's one thing that I know is once I got a kid, you get welfare and food stamps. Like, I'm in. It's free food, free money. Like, the more you get, the more money you get. Like, I'm in. My whole family does this.
Oh. Who likes American cheese?
Right.
Oh,
it wasn't
on the block.
It wasn't until I actually met my wife that I knew the world was different at 19, and she put some sense into me. I took a little vacation for about 13 months after my daughter was born, and we came up here following that vacation. And then I just kind of fell into cutting hair. And honestly, cutting hair got me everything. It's gotten me my house, my kids' livelihood, my livelihood.
Should we discuss the vacation, or is that just a...
I got caught talking to the deers.
It happens, buddy. It happens.
And then they were like, you know what? You can't come to the farm for a while. We got to send you somewhere else.
You're 19 years old. You're from Jersey. Everything in your life is a Springsteen song. You're like, I come from down in the valley. We're Mr.
Actually, I'm a little.
Don't say you're Bon Jovi over. Don't say you're Bon Jovi over Springsteen.
I'm more like DMX and Jay-Z over Bon Jovi, and yeah, I got a little.
You're a kid then.
You used to push snowflakes by the
I got a little tint in my DNA, you know. So it's
I get it. Well, you're a Giants fan, so I know.
Yeah, you know, we gotta have this kind of stuff. But my kids are great. My oldest daughter is 19. She's in her second year of college. She's a starting point guard on her school's basketball team.
No way.
What? Yeah. She is on the dean's list, and she's studying cannabis and business. So she's going to get a degree.
That's a powerful combo right now.
Can I pitch? She writes a book called Can of Business.
I bet it was great. I'm with it.
Can I pitch that?
If you don't trademark that, right? How many things have we come up with on this show that we should trade?
So many. There's so many.
Take it and run with it.
Oh, I'm gonna fit right. I got a whole list of $1 million ideas in my notepad here.
Please, hey, we got Mulligan. We're making it right now. It's called the Sheenus. You want to brag about it for a second, Mulligan?
I have the prototype ready for her to try out when she comes here in a couple weeks.
You need to bring that on the show.
Is this children friendly?
No, it's just if you ever wanted to stand up to be ladies, hey, we got you covered. Try to sheen us. Hey, that's the bottom.
It's like a funnel for women that shapes their urine into a penis shape.
You know, you ever heard of dude wipes?
Yes.
Yes.
So I had a buddy who had a brilliant idea. I was fully behind this idea. Instead of dude wipes, when you're feeling like a fool, you got to grab a testicle.
I like it.
And dude wipes, apparently hit the market first. So there went that idea.
Yeah.
But I would have been all for the testicles, man.
Most of them, yeah.
Oh,
I would have named it a Cleanus.
A Cleanus, I like it.
Yeah, Cleanus wipes. I would have named it.
Wipes.
But it's all timing, and Jobo knows that.
I would have called it a shower.
That's not good.
I mean, you gotta wipe before you shower. You can't just.
Hey, why don't you go full blown and just call it an ass wipe? Give me an ass wipe, right? Like full ass. You're an ass wipe. Oh, thank you.
That's not marketable though. You gotta have something jingly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all about the jingle.
My oldest daughter though.
What you did there?
She's a lesbian, and I'm a little disappointed. Okay. Not because she's a lesbian, but because she brings home ugly girls, and I don't know why. It's just I'm like, look at your mom. Your mom is a solid 10 without her attitude. With her attitude, she's an 8. Okay, you can't be bringing 4s in this house. We have a reputation to uphold in this town. So that's it.
Oh man.
And my son is like the best of both worlds. He has all the good qualities of me.
He's also a lesbian.
He's a lesbian.
He's raised by women, and I was raised by women.
Yeah.
So like we can't fight, but we can argue.
We do a good job. We do a good job. We do a good job
Me
raising the kids.
Me too.
And no, but he's a smart ass. He's funny, and the kid's a genius. At like 4 years old, he can tell you every single dinosaur by their scientific name, what period they lived in, what they ate, who their predators, and like this kid's a genius. I knew he was a better kid than me in kindergarten when he came home with a scratch on his face. I said, "Hey, buddy, what happened?" He goes, "Oh, this kid threw a toy at me." I said, "What'd you do?" He goes, "I told the teacher." I said, "Okay, what'd the teacher do?" He goes, "Teacher didn't do nothing." I said, "He's still bothering you?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, you know how you stop it?" He's like, "How do I stop it, Dad?" I'm like, "You punch little Jimmy right in the face, okay? And if the teacher tells you you're in trouble, you say, 'Hey, I hit him because he hit me,' and you take your butt right to timeout because you did something wrong. But little Jimmy ain't going to hit you again, I promise." Okay, so a couple months go by. We go to parent-teacher meeting, and the teacher tells me and my wife, he's having a problem with this kid. And I get home, and I say, "Man, you're still having a problem with this kid?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Buddy, I told you want to deal with this problem, you have to face it head on. You have to rock the Jimmy in his snot box one time." The kid looks at me with a serious face, goes, "Dad, will that make you happy?" And now I feel like a dirtbag. Now I'm like, I'm just a dirtbag. I'm like, "No, buddy, it won't make me happy, but I'm trying to explain this. Sometimes in the world, people only understand violence." And he looks at me with the straightest face. I'm telling you, 6 years old, looks at me with the straightest face. He goes, "I'll let him know when he goes too far."
Oh,
Wow.
I love this kid.
Human being that I'll ever be. And he's 6.
okay. Now it's a real Sophie's choice because maybe you keep him. God, I'm sorry you have to make a
I'm
choice.
keeping them all. I get a lot of food stamps for these kids. I'm not giving them up now. But if I do give them up, the redhead's going first. I'll probably get the most money for her.
Dude, overseas, you'll get a lot of money for the redhead.
Yeah.
Oh, please. I'm getting bids left and right for my
I keep
kids.
telling my wife, I'm like, screw these kids. They're our retirement.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's so funny. I wanted to go because Jobo, for the wipes, he called them untainted.
Untainted.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's gold. If
So
that doesn't sell, Jobo, I got nothing. I can't.
Yeah, that's pretty
Start
good.
marketing some of this stuff. Like we've got a million ideas from this show, and we never do anything with any of them.
No, and we don't prepare for this show. And as soon as the show's over, I forget all about it. That's the beauty of this show. I think you've missed the whole point of the show.
No, because I'm the one that does all the work for it.
that is also the beauty of the show.
That is the beauty. I still not sure you're getting the beauty of this show yet, but I think you're starting to. We had one last week where the kid was telling us her son was being bullied. And it turns out that once you watch the video, no, her son was the bully.
Yeah, roll
And
the
so
tape.
we want to make a T-shirt that says, what does it say?
Roll the
Roll
tape.
the tape.
Let's roll the tape. Because nowadays, everything is so on camera that you can't come to somebody and go like, "Hey, he did this." He's like, "Let's roll the tape. Let's see who did what."
Right. There's cameras everywhere.
Everywhere, dude. Nobody's getting away with anything.
Our 6-year-old, I have gotten him to admit so many of his crimes by telling him there are cameras in rooms we do not even have cameras. I'm like, "Do you want me to pull up the video? Because I'll pull
That's
up the video right now."
hysterical.
Yeah, doesn't Christine Lakin do that too? Wasn't she?
She
telling
did. That's where I got the idea from when
Yeah,
Christine
yeah,
Lakin
yeah,
was on
yeah.
that. And so I've used it. And he immediately fesses up because he knows he believes that there's footage because there are a lot of cameras here, but not in everywhere that he's committed the crimes.
Oh, man.
When he gets to high school, he's going to read 1984 and go like, "Hey, wait a minute. What the? God, Dad."
My kid, I remember my kids would lie, and I always tell them, "Don't lie to me because I'm always going to find out." Like being the barber in town, I cut all of their friends.
Yeah.
So their friends come into the barbershop and they just snitch right away. So now I'm at the point where I just mind screw my kids. I walk in the house and I'm like, "Hey, want to tell me something?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "What happened today? You sure you don't want to tell me what happened today?" And they're like, no, Dad. I'm like, listen, if I'm asking you, I already know. So I'm giving you a chance. And then they break. They're like, Dad, you know what? I was chewing gum in third period saying the teacher yelled at me. And I'm like, yeah, you're grounded. Go to your room. My wife's like, how'd you know that? I'm like, I don't know. I just came home and said, you want to tell me something? They give it right up now. It's
like Joe Pesci. I worry about you under questioning.
Right.
Henry,
That's
Henry, I worry about you.
I
gotta say, I gotta quote Jobo here because this is actually a pretty prophetic statement.
It is
kind of true because, the one thing you teach your kids, they're like, God's everywhere. God's everywhere. And Jobo says, cameras are the new God. We don't need religion to scare kids anymore. So it's like, instead of going, hey, you do something bad, you're going to go to hell. Hey, you do something bad, it's going to be on video camera, and somebody's going to take that videotape and put it up online. Everyone's going to see it, and you're really going to be in hell. Like, actually,
like Kim Kardashian.
Yeah. I'll raise you one.
Oh, awful. We don't know, but it won't.
I'll raise you one. Which one?
Yeah, in our house, God's new name is Alexa. So you just say, Alexa, show me the camera through this room, and then God brings.
Do you ever try any of that creepy stuff you see on the internet with the Alexas?
No.
Well, I mean, you're going to need to be more specific, Joe.
Like if you go on like TikTok, there's like these videos of Alexa can pick up like spirits in the house and all that. Yeah, my wife tried that one day. I threw that Alexa right out the window. I was like, "Never, we're not getting Alexa again." No, if there's something in this house that I don't know about, guess what? I'm okay with not knowing about it.
Yeah,
not happening.
Ignorance is bliss is a saying for a reason. It really is.
Right.
The older
That's why your
like,
second daughter is in such bliss.
Yeah, you don't want to know. You don't
right.
Want to know.
To give factual to that statement, my daughter is always happy. And I think she's happy because she doesn't know any better. Like, she really does.
I love her. I love them all. All four of your kids sound like ballers. Like, I love.
They're chill.
And they're four very different humans.
Yes. It's amazing how different they are in so many ways, but alike in so many ways. Like, my son looks so Spanish
too, right? They're pretty spaced apart.
Yeah. So I have like
close.
Yeah, they're 19 and 17. And then the next one's like 5 years. They're 12 and 9. So
you
like
had two sets of kids. You had old kids.
I made sure I had babysitters.
Yeah.
For the little one.
Like, where are you going? Smart to run your kids in waves. I think that's a great idea.
It is.
It would be really
funny. The funny part is my wife is Puerto Rican and we've only hooked up once. So I think I looked at her.
Yeah.
And
sometimes
she immediately became fertile.
Sometimes a reserve deposit can just get reenacted.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes that reserve deposit, the egg splits, and you end up with two at the same time.
Yeah, that's true.
But I love my kids so much. But like, you ever look at your kids sometime like, man, I love you so much. I wish I pulled out. Sometimes I give them that look like, I would have saved so much money.
Listen, I tried to, but my wife had enough.
Right.
She locked me on. She wouldn't let go. I go, oh, back. And she goes, no, this is mine. Give it to me. Give me a baby.
I love the way we talk about women.
I was it's so funny because I'm trying to write this thing and I had to watch this. I had to watch Mom's Night Out, this movie, which was really cute. It's from like 2014 and it's a faith-based film, but it's about family. It's about Mom's Night Out. And at the beginning, the mom says, it's really like a sweet kind of a Hallmark movie. And I kind of teared up a little. So I'm obviously old and very sentimental. But she says at one point, she's talking to her husband and she says, when I was a little girl, this was my dream. She goes, I dreamed I would marry a sweet, wonderful man like you. I dreamed I've had these wonderful children. I dreamed we'd live in this beautiful home. She goes, I'm kind of living my dream. And it's crazy because I've never been more miserable. And I started laughing. And a part of me was like, that's so true.
Right.
This vision of it. And then like every day is another like, okay, this morning, I had to get my daughters out to school and she has her backpack and we get to school and she goes, oh no, you're going to be mad. And I go, I'm not going to be mad, just Thomas, because I forgot my lunch. And I go, all right, well, I gave her a couple bucks for like, there's a vending machine and she has the hot lunch with snacks. So I get whatever. She's like crying. And I go, it's just lunch. Let it go. But I get home and I see her lunchbox right inside the door. Underneath it is her homework folder and her reading her glasses. She left her homework, her glasses, and her lunch at the house. And
so did you make the ride back to the school to drop it off?
Of course I did. Of course. I get back in the car. I go back in. You know, nowadays schools are like, you know, who are you? What are you doing?
Good.
Yeah, take this DNA test.
I should have to put a thumbprint somewhere in order to get into my kid's school. Is how I feel.
I finally get in. I go up there, and the teacher comes out, and she's like, she was having a bad morning, and I felt good, but she also never later. I was like, "How was your day?" She's like, "No, it was fine."
Oh,
that's not the right answer, Chief. That's not the right answer. You're in 4th grade. No, you know, you go, "Oh my gosh." Here's the right answer. "Oh my gosh, Dad. Thank you so much for what you did for me. I can't believe I forgot that, but I really appreciate." Instead of going, it was fine.
It was all right.
That's happened to you a couple of times now.
It happens all the time. It's almost like she's doing it deliberately, so she can go, "Oh, he'll carry that. He'll come back in a couple of weeks, but that's not a big deal."
But don't you feel like I constantly find myself being like, God, I wish my kids were better than I ever was. Like, that's what I'm hoping for. Because there's 0% chance if I forgot my lunch, I was going to disclose that I also forgot my homework and that I also forgot my.
Listen, there was 0% chance if I forgot anything, my mom was bringing it back.
That's also true. 0% chance.
Oh, you forgot your lunch, you starve.
My wife actually gives me grief, and she goes, "You got to teach her a lesson. You got to not bring it." And part of me, I had it in my hand, and I stood there for a minute or two, where I was like, "She needs to learn. She needs to learn." Okay, and then I went and did it, because in the back of my head, I'm like, "Oh man, if I remember forgetting my homework, and it wrecks the whole day. It doesn't just wreck." And so I didn't want her to have the worst day ever. But what I would have really liked is her to just be a little thankful for what I've done for you. She's not. She's not.
Not gonna happen, bud. You'll probably get that maybe when they hit 30.
Jamie, do you want to do a little role play where I pretend to be your daughter and I give you what you wanted?
Would you honestly? And I'll pretend to be 80 because that's how old I'm going to be when my daughter's 30. So let's do that. Let's see how that plays out.
Hey, Dad.
Oh, hey, Hannah. How are you?
The best part of my day was when you saved it. Thank you.
Oh, you mean when oh, yeah.
You saved the day. I was in a really bad mood because I felt bad about it, and I was so scared about you being mad, and I know you're probably not mad, and you really handled it well, and then you brought the stuff to me. It was really nice, and I really love you so much, and now you changed my whole day. Yeah. See, that feels good. Wow.
You know, honestly, that felt way better.
There you go.
I feel like we get a group. I feel like we should get a group hug now after that. We got some stuff worked out there.
So I have become really good on the phone and talking to people about getting when you call people to get things done. I'm really good at it. I've always been really good at because and I try to teach my daughters, be nice, be a little witty, be charming, don't swear, be very thankful that this person is going out of their way to help you. I tell her all the time. My wife's like, "Hey, can you call these people? They won't do anything for me." And I'll call them and I go, "Yeah, don't worry about it. It's all taken care of." I can do that for some reason. And I try to teach my kids all the time I go, "Listen, something will happen," and she'll walk away, and I'll go "Hey, you've got to go back and say, 'Hey, I just want to tell you, thank you so much. You went out of your way to do this for me, and I really appreciate it.'" And that makes that person want to do that again for you. Can you not fucking see that? Can you not see it? And it's like, you can't see it, man. Can't see it through the forest. It's crazy.
You're muted, Mulligan.
Mulligan, you're muted. Do you feel the same way?
Well, no, I was going to say the confusion that we all went through just now at the beginning of that, trying to figure out what you were possibly talking about, was the same when you were like, "I'm very into service. That's what I'm into. I'm into service." Yeah. And I was like, "Wait, what?"
Oh,
I'm with you. It was a little cringy.
Oh, yeah. No. I'm into service. I'm trying to teach my kids to, without candy coating, to get people to do what you want them to do.
Could not agree with you more. Not only that, but also to acknowledge status and to know when you have it over someone and to not abuse that.
Do not abuse it.
That's very important.
So thankful
Kill
that
them with kindness.
helping you. Yes.
Yeah.
Because here's the other thing I've learned, especially like people always say, you know, in this acting business, like what lessons can you give people coming up? People want to feel like they're part of your team. Casting directors have so much power. They can dictate who sees you. They speak in the director's ears. And a lot of people just poo-poo casting directors. You're like, dude, casting directors can make or break you, as can most people in this business. And so for you and agents, managers, you have to be so thankful to them to help you and go like, hey, we're part of a team here. I might be the on-camera one, but you're my agent, you're my manager, you're the casting person who helped me get this job. We all got this job together, which is absolutely true. Very seldom in life has anyone ever walked in and been like, I'm king of the hill and owned it. You know, it's like,
Right.
It takes a village. Yeah. And the sooner you acknowledge all these people, because here's what happens when you acknowledge these people and you bring them up for the ride, like they do with the Academy Awards, where they thank so-and-so, that makes that person work so hard to help you succeed that you got to start doing it in life, you know?
Sorry. Poo-poo casting directors, not a solid.
You know, it's funny you say that because you're right. I can't say too much, but I'm in the process of possibly being casted for something. And
Come on, Joe.
Trust me.
Come on, Joe.
The person who got me into this is not really a friend, but an associate, and like kind of like knew I did comedy and like reached out to me because he just did a show. Like he's on TV and he was like, hey man, you know, I know you do comedy and I think this would be really good for you. He goes, even if you don't get into this thing, just having people see you and your presence, I think can help you out a lot. And I just want to help you. And it really kind of took me back because like I'm so used to doing everything on my own.
Yeah. For
someone to kind of just give me that little bump, like, hey man, here you go. It was like, wow, there's really, you know, and it came out of left field. And I'm really hoping it comes to fruition, obviously. But like you said, the casting director, I made the first interview. I made the second interview. Now I'm on the third interview. So if the third interview goes good, I'm in.
Yeah.
Well, you know, doing stand-up too, like it's always amazing when like the club owners, the MC, that, you know, it's like when you're a headliner, if you're the guy, you know, it's always amazing when the headliner's like mean to everybody. Like, what are you doing, man?
Jason, we had this conversation, right?
We just talked about this, yes.
We had this conversation, man.
You know, pick up the tab, dude. You gotta pay. The feature doesn't. The opener and the feature shouldn't be buying drinks. You're the headliner. It's your.
You know, it's funny because like I do comedy, like you do comedy. I have my own money just based on my business that I do cutting hair. I never have been that guy to want something from a headliner or like I'll buy the drinks. I don't care. Sure. To me, it's just money. Money comes and goes. It's principle. It's respect. And when you see how certain people treat other people, it really opens your eyes. And I was telling Jason, I did a show at the Funny Bone years ago when I first started. And there was a guy who was a headliner, and it was because I won an amateur night when I first started. They let me host for his weekend. So I was hosting for him and another guy who's I'll keep them nameless, just you know. But
but tell us in the private chat, okay?
Yeah, private chat.
Yeah, sure. Well, no, because I don't know if you Jamie, you might.
Was it me? It wasn't me, was it?
No. You might know these guys though. One of the guys who was solid, a guy named Mike Speenberg. I don't know if you guys know Mike.
I do not know.
He does a thing called Big Wheel Brigade. And he was like my first introduction to comedy. He was the feature. There was another gentleman who was a headliner. The other gentleman at the time was on a pretty popular show on A&E. Okay. And that's what got him exposed.
Dog the Bounty Hunter did stand up.
To Catch a Predator?
It was Phil Robertson.
So, the first show was back then the comedy clubs were booming. It was like Thursday night you had one show. Friday you had 2, Saturday you had 2, Sunday you had 1. So you did a total of 6 shows the whole weekend. So the Thursday night show, They didn't do. It was 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, 1 Sunday. So the first Friday show, I'm nervous. I'm just doing comedy, and I'm like literally 2 months into comedy, doing it at all. And I was so excited. I'm like, man, I got to go out here and nail this. So I get on stage, I got all the energy, and I kill it. I do my thing. Crowd loves it. I get off stage, and I introduce the feature, Mike Guy, and I get off stage, and I introduce the headliner. He goes on stage. The feature comes up to me. He's like, hey, the GM wants to see you in the office. And I'm walking around. I got my chest puffed out. I'm like, man, I just killed. This is great, you know? And I get in there, and the GM's like, hey, man, good job. You need you to tone it down a little bit. I'm like, excuse me?
Yep.
And he's like, need you to tone it down a little bit. And I'm like, what did I do wrong? He's like, you didn't do anything wrong, but you got to take it down a little bit. And I'm like, okay. So now I'm like walking around visibly a little bummed out.
Yeah.
And the feature guy was like, dude, what's up, man? And I'm like, I don't know, man. He just told me to like tone it down. I didn't think I did anything wrong. And he was like, he was pissed. He like, that son of a, and I'm like, he goes, that dude's a dirtbag because he bombed the first show, the headliner. And then he didn't want me to be as funny. And the guy told me, he goes, he's a dirtbag. He did a dirtbag move. He shouldn't have done that to you. And like the guy the next day, Mike was like, he was like mentoring me that weekend. He was like, dude, screw him. He's like, you get on stage and you do what you do. He goes, if he can't handle it, then he shouldn't be a headliner. And I was like, man, that was like my first intro into like the business of like stand-up comedy. And it hurt my feelings. I'm not gonna lie. Because I thought,
oh, sure, yeah,
out there, like murdered it. The crowd was loving it. And then the owner's like, yeah, if you do that, we can't really use you. And I'm like, I don't know how to turn it off. At that time, it was
you weren't dirty. Were you swearing?
No, I mean a little bit, but not like horrible.
Oh, okay.
But I'm very energetic on stage, especially back then. And he was like, yeah, you got to just keep the end. And I'm like, I thought my job was to go on stage, make people laugh. And, and I didn't realize the concept of a host and a feature and the build up and all that then.
So that's happened. That's normal. That is normal.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people bring their own features and stuff. I always had a problem if I was headlining and the guy got up the opener or the middle and was unbelievably filthy because I'm not.
Right.
I'm clean. And so I would tell them, I go, look, man, do what you got to do. And also the other thing is don't play guitar. Like don't play because I played guitar in my act. I can. But when
I've never seen you play guitar in your act. That's
and
so
I had a couple killer bits.
You have a song on one of the albums, right?
Yeah. But when I opened or featured for other people, I never used it because it changes the room and you can't do that. So, but I opened for people. Also, God, I opened for somebody pretty famous and he was bombing as well. And they kept cutting my time. And so I finally, by like the weekend shows, I was doing like a 7-minute and I was like the feature. I wasn't even the opener. I was the feature.
Oh, wow.
He kept cutting me. And then it was hard for him. But one time I worked on a TV show, and I was
bragger.
And I was been on TV.
Wait,
show.
What was the show?
I can't tell you yet. I'll tell you later. And they came to me, and I was crushing. And the director came to me, and they kept redoing it. And he came to me very specifically, and he said, "Hey, you got to tone it down, man. They're never going to let you have a bigger laugh than the regular cast member. So whatever you're doing, bring it down just a scooch." But it wasn't his fault or my fault. My character was insanely goofy and crazy, and it was a funny character more than any. And the lines were written really funny, but they were like, they want you to come down here so that his star can. And they were kids, they were younger guys, and they wanted them to shine. And I was like, I go, really? I thought he was joking. And he's like, no, I'm dead serious. Just do this so we can move on with the night and shoot it out. And I was like, great, man. Welcome to showbiz. But that's biz.
How do you, all right. So I've only been doing comedy for maybe 10 years and I haven't had like tremendous. But in comedy, I feel like it's not because I haven't had like tremendous.
The trick is only headline. Don't feature or open.
At this point, I'm taking whatever I can get. You know what I mean?
I know, but it is what it is. Listen,
no, I get what you're saying. But like
other things where like you want, you're driven for something, and then somebody's, whoever's in charge is like, do it this way. I did another show where the producers, I had to play a gay character, and the producers came and they were like, they want you to play it totally straight. Don't play it effeminate at all. Which I thought that was the best. I was just who I am, and I'm gay or whatever, and it's not a big deal. And then the other side was not the producers, but the network people came to me and said, "You got to amp this up, man. You got to really blow it out." Like literally before every take, they would one guy was in one ear going, "Don't go gay at all," and the other guy was going, "You got to amp this up." And I was like, I was monkey in the middle, and I never pleased anybody, and it was a train
Jeez.
show. But that's the business, you know. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Anytime anything's brilliantly funny, I'm like, kudos to everyone, because that's really hard to accomplish.
Yeah. Like you said, it's a lot of hands. It's a lot of intangibles. That make it work.
Back to the original question before we get off on the showbiz. How do we get our kids to be more appreciative, really?
Beat them. No, seriously. Like, and I don't mean like violently beat your kids, but I feel like occasionally, like a judo chop to the throat is warranted.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Because think about it. You're not leaving any bruises.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to hit them hard enough to like crush their larynx.
Don't crash. Yeah.
And
Here's the problem, Joe. Roll the tape.
Hear me. No, well, you beat them in the house where there's no cameras. But, like, I wouldn't say do it in Walmart. There's cameras everywhere. But think about when you were a little child, right? If you lost oxygen for 3 seconds, that's life-changing. Yeah. It makes you think about life a little differently. Like, I probably shouldn't do what I just did again because I want to live. You thrive to live. So I'm a fan of, like, beat your kids. It builds character and it teaches life lessons.
We had a soccer game on Saturday, and one of the girls.
This is about to be a story about Jamie beating one of his kids at a soccer game.
It's about losing.
You gotta be careful beating those redheads. They're gonna kill you.
This is a story about losing oxygen for 3 seconds because one kid goes running towards the other kid. The kid drills the ball, hits the other kid in the chest. You see your eyes go.
Yeah, lost it. God. You know what? I think I want to swim after that. I don't want to play soccer anymore.
7-year-old girl who literally cannot breathe. She's like, and I'm like, I'm talking to like a college kid, but she's 7, and I'm like, just put your hands over your head, get some air in there.
Right. Spread your lungs.
And her hands wouldn't even go up. She was like, I thought she was gonna black out.
Oh.
And I'm kind of laughing under my breath, but I'm like, oh, this is train wreck. And the parents. Like, I'm sure parents were calling 911, like ice pack, like somebody's CPR. Like, it's crazy. My father was at my Little League games with a Schlitz, and I would see the cherry lit from his cigarette, from his Lucky Strike behind the bleachers. That's the only reason I knew my dad was at the game. Now parents are like, every move of the children is monitored.
Parents are the worst.
I overheard a mom telling her daughter at soccer this weekend, and she was not kidding. She quoted Talladega Nights exactly, and she said, "If you're not first, you're last." And she was not doing it.
She was dead serious.
She's like, "If you're not first, you're last. And we don't have losers in this family."
You know what always killed me is softball. My daughters try to play softball. All 3 of my daughters are exceptional basketball players.
I mean,
my little redhead just did her first swim meet, and she crushed it. I can't swim. This kid lapped these kids by a mile. It was nuts. And so they're very athletic. They're in it, but they did softball. And the thing that always killed me about softball is if you've ever watched little girls play softball, okay? The kid will throw the ball, right? And the ball won't even go, it'll go 10 feet above the kid's head, right? Mm-hmm. And the kid at the plate doesn't swing. And the dumb parents in the background like, good eye. Like, who swings at that? What do you mean good eye? You got to be Stevie Wonder to swing at that thing. You're talking about good eye. No, that's just being smart. Good eye. I can't believe you're yelling good eye for a pitch 10 feet in the air. It drives me nuts. Good eye. What do you mean good eye? It's nowhere near the kid. You're like, good eye.
Dude, it's so funny you say that because this weekend, like, I get it if you go back up, you're on defense, you're going the wrong way couple
Yeah,
of those, super helpful. Those are helpful. But when
Classic,
when you're like, come on, try harder, not really as helpful as you think. It's really not specific enough. And one guy got really mad at his own. He's like, come on, you're better than that. That's really not helpful at all.
Right.
That's not giving any direction. All you're doing is being negative on the kid, and you're like, what are you doing?
I don't yell at my kids, and I go to a lot of sporting events. I'm the dad that sits in the bleachers and like watches them. And if I see something, I have a family whistle, I call it. This is the whistle when I want your attention, or if I lost you in Walmart. You hear this whistle? Come find me.
Wait,
I don't know where you
can
are.
we know the whistle?
Can you do it? I can't do it.
No, he's got like a pitch that he does, like there's a melody that he does.
Right.
Wait, do it.
That was it.
Do it again. Do it again.
Come on, this is a family outing here.
Okay.
So when I whistle, my kids will look my direction, and I'll do simple things. If I do like this, that means drive the ball. If I go like this, that means steal the ball. Like simple stuff. My daughter had a girl on her team who was this kid was good. She was probably 11 years old. She was a great shooter, hit a three-pointer. She was athletic. And her mom would sit on the bench and just berate her the whole game. The whole game. She would sit on the bench and be like, I can't believe you didn't dive for that ball. Like one day we were walking out of the gym together, and those parents were in front of us with their daughter. And she was just, the kid was like 9 years old at the time. And she's telling her, I can't believe you played like that. Who are you? How dare you? Like, you're so much better than that. You should have dove for that ball. And the mom, mind you, the mom is like 350 pounds. Just for context. I had enough. My wife looked at me. She's like, don't say nothing. I'm like, got to do it. Because this lady's pissing me off. I can't believe she's talking to this kid like that. So I looked at her. I said, hey, ma'am. I said, I'd like to see you get your big ass off the bench and dive for that ball instead of yelling at that kid like that. You couldn't play her one-on-one. I'll put $1 million. Your daughter will smoke you in one-on-one right now. And she was like, well, I never. And I'm like, well, that's your problem. You never played basketball. Why don't you shut up?
Wow.
I like that too, dude. I love that. Hey,
rock.
I want to address a couple comments that people hear. Carl Nelson says, how often do you thank your kids? How often do you guys thank your kids?
Every single day, multiple times a day. Constantly.
But not just like, hey, thanks for being here.
No, but I'll
showing up.
Like when my instinct, especially even when it's like my instinct is to be if we're at a Costco and I've asked them just before we get there, do you guys have to go to the bathroom? But then we get to Costco and they're like, I have to go pee-pees. I'm like, I will say, oh, thank you for telling me. And thank you for listening to your body. Because what I want to say is, why didn't you? But you know what?
Why would you thank them for that? That's a terrible thank you. That's when my kid just did that. We went to the soccer game before we left. I said, go pee. We got there and she goes, I got to pee. I said, I told you to pee before we left.
That's so. I wonder why she was nervous about telling you she forgot her lunch.
Well, then don't forget your lunch.
I think dads and moms are wired differently.
That's a terrible thank you.
Yeah, they definitely are.
That's not a terrible thank you.
I thank my kids all the time, but here's what I do. I thank them when they do something. Like if I say, hey, clear the table, or if they do it, which never happens, if they did it without me saying it, I go out of my way to say, thank you so much for doing that. It was super helpful. I appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. But not like, hey, thanks for getting up this morning. Not that. That's insanity. What are you, crazy?
That is, Jamie, you have literally never missed a point more than you're missing this one currently.
This one has
the parallel that you just made is so deeply unfair to what I was saying. What I'm saying is I thank them all the time. Do I thank them for when they do things correctly? Yeah. But also I have started to use thank yous when my instinct is they've done something wrong, which is, it's deeply annoying that they didn't, but to me, it's about encouraging. I don't want them having an accident and I don't want them too scared to tell me a thing. All right. Thank you for listening to your body. Da-da-da.
You've watered down the thank you. Now it means nothing. You've taken a thank you and you've misused it.
Okay.
Why don't you give them a a medal? Why don't you give them a medal when they do stuff? You
Okay,
thank them
okay.
when they do things above and beyond the ordinary.
You literally just said it was when you asked them to do something like clear the table. So that's obviously something you asked them to do.
Something helpful, or they do something that is kind of helping people. I thank them for that.
Okay, let me go back. Carl, you asked how often do you thank your kids? My answer is way too much, apparently. I should not be. I do it way too much.
Jason?
Oh, don't try to bring me into this.
Joe, how often do you thank your kids?
I thank my kids when they just do what they're supposed to do without me telling them.
Thank
you. I do that.
Thank you, Joe. Joe, thank you.
Right, like when
I also want to apologize that you came during the section of the show we like to call like what it used to be like when Dad would hit Mom at the dinner table.
Yeah.
No, like I thank my kids. Like so, I tell my kids all the time that I'm a very realistic dad. The world's not sunshine and rainbows. Okay, my job as a parent is not to be your buddy. It's not to be your best friend. It is supposed to prepare you for life. If I leave this world tomorrow, I have to know that I did everything in my bones to make sure you are going to be a good human being and you can survive without me. That's how I feel my job as a parent. After you do all that, we can be the best of friends. And I don't mind that. But like my kids, my oldest daughter, when she got to a certain age, 16, 17, and she got her license, she just knew, like, I got to do some stuff if I want to get what I want. So me and my wife would come home on a Friday and the house would be completely clean, dishes done, vacuumed, all that. We'd come in from work like, whoa. She'd be like, hey guys, can I go over here? And we'd be like, yeah. We got nothing to do. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now my other daughter, 17 now, doesn't do nothing. And then it's like, well, why can't I go out? Because you don't do nothing. If you cleaned up or did something, I wouldn't have a problem with you going anywhere.
She's like, I let that fish die.
So
right,
Kate,
like she's a homicidal kid.
So Kate, when we get to school this morning, and Hannah told me she forgot her lunch, should I have said, "Thank you so much for telling me that"? I want to take a moment and thank you for sharing with me that you forgot lunch and that I have to go pick it up and bring it home. Thank you very much. Should I have thanked her for that, for sharing that information?
Yes, obviously, Kayla. That's what I've been saying all along.
I feel like it's a very condescending thank you.
Obviously, Kayla. That's what I've been telling you.
I don't think. Thank you for I feel like a thank you is warranted if I pick you up from school because you have a stomach bug and we make it all the way home. Like, thank you for not pooping in the car.
Yeah, that's a thank you.
That's a thank you.
I feel sick to my stomach. Thank you for not vomiting in the car. Yeah.
Thank you.
I do thank them profusely when they do something that I think is above and beyond. When they go out of their way to do something. But most of the time it's like, hey, pick that up. That's not mine. What? Or I give out 2 meals. It's not fair. She got more than me. That's not fair. I go, life's not fair, sister. Get used to it. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't go as far as thanking for everything, but I do let them know when I appreciate when they're like helping out their mom to some degree. Like I don't use thank you so much as appreciation.
Yeah.
I thank them anytime. I thank them a lot when they do stuff, but not like I don't thank them for like being alive. I don't thank them for that.
Yes, that's what that was my story was about.
That's
I thank my kids for being alive. Yeah.
You know what I do?
For filling your empty soul. That's what it feels like. You have an empty life and you like, thank you very much because now I have something to do today.
You know what I do? I don't thank my kids, but I try to positively reinforce them. Like I'll wake my kids up in the morning and, hey, I love you. I'm proud of you. I hope you have a great day. Just do your best. Kick ass today. Like I don't necessarily thank them, but I do think it's important because like I didn't have that growing up. My mom would just be like, get your ass out of bed or I'm going to kick it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
We didn't get none of that participation.
I do think there's something to that as well. I think that
I do too. I think it depends. I think it depends on the kid. So like
yes, absolutely. That's
my oldest daughter, we never had to tell her much. She just kind of got it. my second and third, my son, I've told him to do everything. He doesn't. He's like, he'll be in the zone doing something else. My little daughter and my middle daughter, it's the constant clean the room, do the dishes, take a shower, brush your teeth, do the dishes, clean the room, shower, teeth, room, clean, brush, too. What? It's just constant. I confuse them because it's always, but I never had to do that. And every kid is different.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a really smart approach, Joe, because I feel like, especially with coaching, like some kids need to be yelled at, and they do that. I was great when if they were like, you can't do this, and they would beat me up. I actually performed. Some kids, if you tell them that, will quit the sport. They're out. I think you're right. You have to, and I tell, you know what's funny? I say this to my kids all the time, and it's a stand-up thing, but I always say, read the room, man.
Right.
Read the room.
Yeah.
Can you not feel the vibe in the room? You're acting this way, but the room is saying you shouldn't. You should be acting this way. You've got to pick your head up and look at the court and see what you're doing. And I think as a coach and a parent, especially, certain kids need certain things. It's a really wise decision to go.
It's like my oldest daughter is like that. I can light a fire under her by telling her, man, you can't do that. That girl's faster than you. You let that girl score on you like that? Yeah. She's like, lockdown. You think I can't do it? Watch it. Yeah. But my son, he'll check out. He'll just, weird, right? I'm not doing it.
They're like that.
And I'm like, dude, get in there. Like, what are you doing? Like, but I think what it is, with my son, it's hard for him because, like, and you have to understand the dynamics. Like, me and my wife, most of our friends have daughters. So we're always around girls. None of them really have boys because all the friends we gravitated to is because we had 3 daughters and they have daughters. So he's constantly surrounded by girls. But my daughters are savages. They do not. No, I'm telling you, bro. Like, to play him in basketball, they'll throw him on the floor. They'll elbow him. There's no holds barred. And he's just like, I'm never going to be good at it because they won't let me be good at it. So I don't want to do it. And I'm like, no, that's not how this works. So now we have him in football, and he's never played football before. And yesterday he just almost scored his first touchdown. He came home.
Oh, very nice.
He was fired up. He's like, Dad, I need to get the ball more. Can we go outside and do drills or something? Absolutely. Yeah. But if I try to get on him to like motivate him the way I like to be motivated, he'll be like, no, I'm good. I'm out. Won't work. Nope.
I think that's what makes. I think
my wife goes, oh, he needs time. Just give him a few minutes. Like when we're going to the games, he's not like I was a kid going to a game. I was ready. I'm like, let's go. He's like, I don't want to go.
That's funny.
I don't want to go.
Kate,
and I'm like, put your ass in the car now. And she's like, he needs, just give him a moment. I'm like, screw his moment. All right, get out there and crack somebody, and you'll feel better. Okay.
I was just gonna say, I feel like you're exactly speaking to what I think makes the teachers that are great teachers, the coaches that are great, and also probably it's not necessarily a talent I have as a parent myself, but is to recognize kids' strengths and weaknesses and to adjust the way you're teaching, the way you're coaching, the way you're parenting per kid. I actually had to have a preschool teacher, my son's preschool teacher, tell me. Kids, James is not real. Stop telling him things in advance. And I was like, oh my God, she's so right. Like, and it took me having a teacher like watch my 2 kids to be like, by the way, idiot, did you know that they're different? Treat them differently. And it's sort of like, it was so helpful to have a teacher do that. And that's why she was great at what she did. Yeah. But it's exactly what you're saying, Joe. It's, it's Jason's on it, Kaylor. It's a feedback in when we don't have Joe's mic muted.
You're getting feedback from me?
Yes, a little bit.
No, not feedback, but like
that giant paraphernalia behind you that's kind of messed up.
It actually is a signal.
Hey, I wanted to go into one more question from one of the fans. This is from Gizder. Gaz Doctor Forever. Gaz. Who? How would you say that? Giz Doctor. It's a Jizz Doctor Forever.
Jizz Doctor Forever.
That's what it is. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Which is.
I was going to pronounce. I would say it's that's you pronounce that. Thank you so much for being alive. So
you would, I bet. So Jizz Doctor Forever says, if one of your children came to you and said they want to try a vape, Do you say no because I am the parent? Do you say yes, but do it under your supervision, or just convince them it's a bad idea?
So just to be clear, vaping probably is referring to tobacco in this case. Just
Oh,
vaping.
interesting.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times people think they're talking about vaping weed, but I think actually the thing that kids are getting addicted to is the jewels that are actual. It's actual nicotine.
I know, but they taste
My
like
first question is like, how old is this
Vaping
kid?
is how I actually what I think ruined this country, because when I was a kid, bullies beat you up, they would blow smoke in your face, and you were intimidated.
Yeah.
I am infinitely less terrified when they blow something in your face after they kick your ass and it smells like banana bread.
Yeah,
Like
and
cotton
also
candy.
and it looks like a tuner. Like it looks like the blowing a whistle.
Yeah, or sometimes they look like they're sucking on a small USB drive.
Yeah, exactly.
I never got the thing with the vapes, man. I don't get it. I feel like
You're
I
right.
feel
The
like-
first question is how old is the kid? That's exactly
right. Like,
right,
how
Joe.
old is this kid that we're talking about?
Yeah.
Because if the kid's like a teenager, it would also
I
depend
mean,
on the kid.
obviously, you talk them out
Jizz
of it.
doctor, how old is your kid?
Yeah, Jizz. How old is this kid we're talking about? Is Jizz Doctor even in the room, or is he busy jizzing?
They were on Twitch, so
Oh,
Oh,
hi.
nice. Yeah.
See, I
I
think
think-
this is a very
Yeah.
unique question because, like, if you have a kid, depends on the kid.
16.
16. All right, so 16. Now, is this a very well-behaved student? 16-year-old does well,
Oh, it
or
says
is this like a
16.
knucklehead? Or
Just
is this
Dr.
like a
Forever
knucklehead?
says 16.
Right. Or is it like a knucklehead 16? So my thing is, I try to tell my kids avoid smoking at all costs. It's horrible for you. It's bad for you. Whatever. Now, if I found out my kid was smoking a vape, I could do one of two things. I can educate them on it, possibly let them do it in front of me and see how they react to it. They may not like it and may never do it again. Or I may make them smoke till their lungs fall off, and then they'll never want to do it again.
That's the old trick.
So
They
there's
go,
like,
smoke the whole pack of cigarettes.
right, it depends.
like
Like,
with
my-
smoking, so is it so with vaping it would be different because it's not going to burn the same way, correct?
No, it's. I mean, I don't.
I mean,
it's-
vaping
Like
makes
that would
you
work
awful
with
lot.
the old school like smoking that
Yeah.
but like with vaping, I mean it's water vapor. It's like a
Yeah.
cool mist that is a delicious
I don't know
flavor.
that. I'm not there yet, but
I feel like at 16 with the teenagers, it's like if you let them start vaping at 16, what doors is it going to open up?
well, the other
Because it's going to open it up to, all right, well, if I can vape some cotton candy, I can vape some marijuana, and no one's going to, you know what I mean? And
also
then you open up a whole nother Pandora's box of what's your kid getting into when you're not around. I think my idea is best avoid. I tell my kids, when you're grown and you pay your own bills, then you can do whatever the hell you want. Until then, it's my rules, my house. It's a no-go.
I also somehow think if a kid's coming to you and being like, "What would you do?" Like if they're asking you about vaping, they're actually telling you they're already doing it. That's my
Right.
take on it.
Right,
I
yeah,
just feel like it's so they're either looking for a safe space. I mean, it's probably already happened, or they're just telling you like, no matter what you say, this is what I'm getting into next. And,
Listen,
maybe
I'll
make
share a
this
true
man-
story. My daughter, I had this issue. I found my daughter. It was edibles.
Okay.
I found her getting an edible, and
This is not a great.
I was
moment
little.
to say.
I was very upset. As a parent, you're pissed. You're like, oh man, you're doing vaping, you're doing this, you're doing that. I was mad. But then I had to take a step back and realize, at that age, I wanted to vape, I wanted to do whatever. So I just had a conversation with her, like, hey, this is the dangers of doing certain things. And especially when you do it outside this house, I can't control or know what you take. People do stupid stuff. You could be poisoned. You could be hurt. You every time you do something like this, it's a 50-50 chance it goes good or bad. So, I prefer you not to do it at all because I don't think you're old enough to be responsible with it. And honestly, ever since then, she's like, Dad, I didn't like it. I don't think I'm doing it again. And that was it. Thank God I haven't had to deal with it again. But initially you're upset when you find out your kids are doing things because you think your kids are angels. Then you find out they're doing stuff you're not supposed to be doing. Well, you guys, how old are your kids, Jason?
I have a 6-year-old son
Yeah,
and twin 3-year-olds.
We're way behind you,
Two,
brother.
Queenie?
I have a 7 and a 9, and Mulligan's even younger than me.
Oh, these are the good years when they hit like
They are kind of the good years.
when
Yeah.
they hit like 12, 13 is when the attitude starts to kick in a little bit, especially with the girls, because the girls, you know, they're starting to change a little bit. They're starting to change a little bit. So now they're like a little feisty, and then when they all get to that stage where they all, you know, get that once a week. Then they all get it in the same house at the same time, like they form like Voltron. It's like an evil Voltron once a month. It feels like once a week in this house. So many damn girls. I have all these girls. They form like Voltron. Listen, every week, a month, I grab my son by the wrist and I tell him, buddy, we're going downstairs this week. He's like, why? I'm like, trust me. Just come down here. You don't want to be up there, bud.
Upstairs shall hereto be known as the Red Tent.
Right.
We live downstairs.
I just know when that does happen to me, I'm just going to be like, hey, I just want to tell you thank you so much for this. And
thank you for being evil for a week.
Thank you.
That's a great callback
for letting me know that this is happening.
Thank you. Thank you. This is coming from a guy who's good at reading the room.
Read the room, Chief.
Yeah. No, actually, Kaylor, read the room. Go ahead and read the room, Kaylor.
I got a room full of women. I can't even read it. It's like in Braille, and I don't read Braille. I'm like, what's happening? I don't know what's happening. I don't know, dude.
Voltron. They form like Voltron is really good, by the way.
I'm telling you, they're like it's like
with older kids. It's always funny to talk to people with older kids because we're like, he's like, I always equated to Ebenezer Scrooge, and you're the door knocker. It was like, Ebenezer, things are about to get really bad for you, and you're like, wait, what's happening? I had some chicken. I don't. It goes south.
I think once they get older, you try to find that line where I did a good job, and I know you're going to be okay out in the world on your own, and now I'm your friend, but I'm still going to worry and care about you for the rest of your life. And I feel like it's like my mom. I'm an only child, so my mom was very overbearing. Like, you know, my mom's very protected. Like, I couldn't leave the front gate until I was like 14. You know what I mean? Like, she was very like, you're gonna die. Someone's gonna kill you. You're gonna get murdered. Like, we live in the hood. I'm like, relax. I try not to be like that with my kids. I try to give them their room to grow and find themselves. And it's hard, man. Being a parent is like the hardest job in the world. And there's no manual, obviously. And I think the scariest part for me about being a parent is you see your kid as a baby and they grow up and you watch them innocent, like your kids are innocent now. And at some point, the world is going to change them. Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest fear is like, how is the world going to change my kid?
Yeah.
And how can I help them through that? Because the world changed me. It changed you. It's going to happen. And the one thing I realized too is like, everybody's not teaching their kids what you're teaching your kids.
That's true.
Yeah, man. Yeah, she's going to be in the She's beautiful. You're in trouble, bud.
My little 7-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
give it 5 more years, and you're not going to say that. You're going to be like this.
My 9-year-old is already at the point where she goes, she's like, walks to the front door, and I go, where are you going? And she just looks at me and then opens the door, walks right out and pulls the door shut. I was like, hey, you can't do that. What are you doing? Like, she doesn't. And then I go outside and I yell for her. This is her new thing. I yell for her out the front door. I know she hears me because every neighbor hears me. Everyone within a 1-mile radius hears me. And then eventually she's like, oh, like after 20 yells, she's like, oh, I was next door. I didn't hear you.
Right. Well, my kid wants a cell phone. She's 12 years old. She's like, Dad, I want a cell phone. I'm like, kid, there's nowhere that you're going to be that you can't hear my voice that you need to call me. If you can't hear my voice, you're too damn far. Get closer to the house.
That's funny, dude.
I like that.
Funny.
Because think about, like, here's the thing. Cell phones, man, are the devil.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, cell phones are the devil. My kids.
For us even, too. You're including us. Yeah.
My kids learn so much bad stuff from the school bus from their friends Googling and YouTubing and having cell phones. My kids didn't have cell phones, but their friends did. And that goes back to what I was saying. Like, not everyone's teaching their kids what you're teaching your kids. So, like, they're going to get a whole bunch of input from different areas, and some areas are not welcome. You know what I mean?
That happened to my buddy. His 11-year-old daughter, he goes, you're not going to believe it. He goes, we've tried to protect her the best we can. She's on a school bus coming home. The kid sitting next to her pulls out his phone and shows her hardcore pornography on his phone. She's 11 years old.
Oh, no.
At that. And that's the problem, man. It's in.
I found my daughter Googling on our home computer lesbians when she was 7 from the school bus.
Wow, she knew.
And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, the girl on the school bus, she watches these videos. I'm like, no. Well, you don't sit next to her on the school bus anymore.
Yeah. Ugh. Jeez.
Yeah, it's just hard, man. The world is crazy. That's why being a parent is definitely the hardest job in the world. Because
it's getting exponentially faster.
I got a question here for the guy in the comments. He says, I started smoking at 16. Is that why your name is Narcolepsy now?
Yes, there it is.
He's one of our he's one of our stalwarts. He's a joke writer. It's so funny. We have so many people now who are fans who come in and they just kill it with jokes, man. That's why we try to give them so much pub and read some of these jokes, because so many people, some of the comments are so blindingly funny. We've talked about this many times that, you know, this all started during the pandemic. We had a bunch of like 25 guys and we were all losing our minds. So we did a Zoom. And it was just 25 dudes, and I kind of moderated this Zoom where everyone got in and was like, I'm not sure I'm going to make it through this thing. Like, people were homeschooling their kids. People were hanging on by a thread.
I miss those.
It kind of evolved. What? Jason, and we ended up doing this show, and a lot of people have kind of come over and just kind of thrown in their comments and stuff. And I invariably, most of the shows, like this week, I'm actually in a really good mood. I played golf today. The kids, nobody's killing me. It's like kids are doing okay. But sometimes we'll come stumbling into this show like shaking with anger.
Oh, I have seen Jamie come almost
over, and I've read all the jokes, and I've ended up laughing with our guests. All of a sudden, it kind of rejuvenates me for the week, and I feel this like, oh, that's right. We're all on this boat together. So there is kind of something to that. You know, we're all going through the same crap, it feels like.
By the way, our little Caters is this is her 1-year show with us.
Oh, it is?
Today is the day, yes.
I wish you'd have told me before the show. We would have made a cake or something.
And then I would have watched you eat it in your own home. So
I figured it out 5 minutes before from the memories on Facebook from last year that, you know, our new resident.
I was going to say, this wasn't the Josh Wolf show then.
No, that was the first time you were on the show, but you became a regular a year ago today.
Okay.
Jamie, I'm waiting. Come on, Jamie. Don't leave me hanging, bud.
Come on, baby.
No, wait. Come on. You're not going to do it?
What am I doing?
You're not going to thank her? Right
oh,
now?
That's right. I'm so sorry. Hey, I just want to thank you, Kate.
Thank you for your 1 year.
You know, actually, this is a sincere thank you. Yeah, honestly, when Kate came in, it really she was a spark plug and lit the show. And it was funny too, because with the Parents Lounge, but we were two dads, and we had a lot of moms on, but we, you know, people were always like, "Well, you need a mom." And then Kate came in and kind of took hold. So, Kate, thank you very much for being part of what we do, because honestly,
you guys,
do it so much better.
You guys, I do it for the money. So thank you.
Wait, you're getting paid?
No.
She ain't getting. She's not getting.
Kate is coming on our very first show. Kate's coming to our Sayre Theater show, and it's our very
I am getting
first time Lounge live with all three of us, and it's going to be. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be super fun.
Yeah, Joe, you come down to
make the Friday night show. I'm gonna try to come up there and support you guys on Friday.
You should, yeah, that'd be awesome, dude.
Joe, maybe you can do a few minutes at the top, but literally, I need you to tone it down.
No, I'm gonna tone it down. No.
Tone it down.
I just want to come support, laugh, be an audience member.
I would have let you go on, but from what I hear, we can't follow you, so I can't. I can't. You gotta bring it down, brother.
Man. I'm a nobody.
People talk.
Thank you, though. Thank you.
Energy.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to bring it down.
Yeah, you know. Dude, I never wanted to hit someone so hard in my life that I wanted to beat that headliner up that week. I was like, I can't believe this guy did this to me my first night ever.
But we got to wrap it here in a minute or two. But do you want to pub out your barbershop first and foremost before you do the gigs.
Appreciate it. Endicott, New York. It's called Faces Barbershop, and it's where a happy customer is a happy face. A little bit of a double entendre.
By the way, I mean, have you talked to A&E about making the show, Joe's Barbershop?
No, I actually thought of this show like Broom Barber Wars, because there's like 10 barbershops in my area that are all derived from one guy, and I was under his umbrella, and now and I'm like, it would make a really good show, but I think someone would end up shot, and I think they won't go for that. So
They definitely like it. Are you kidding? If you not watch A&E, they like it when people get shot.
Parking Wars is like my favorite show on A&E, because like
I always joke when I was a process server, my wedding got paid for by the city of Endicott.
How so?
Because I served so many papers in Endicott.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I could see that. I've been, Faces Barbershop.
Dude, I did that Haunted Live with the guys from Atlanta, and he had a barbershop, the Ghost Brothers or something.
Yes, they do. One guy does.
The one dude has a monster. I think they cut like LeBron James's hair or something. He's like a crazy barber of something, and I didn't realize it was such a cool. It's a very cool little tight profession, and he was like the bomb, man. That dude was like a huge celebrity for his barbershop.
Joe,
Barb. You got to think about, man. There's two people in the world you can absolutely not lie to, and that's your mother and your barber. We know. Like, guy will come in with a different hairline, and I'm like, "Who cut your hair?" Nah, man, that was you last time. I'm like, nah, player.
Nah, man, you've been cheating.
You cheated. That ain't my lines. Guys have more loyalty to their barbers than their women.
Buzzing and bullets at Wednesday.
Wednesday nights at 9 on A&E.
Dude, Jason, you got to talk to Hammersley. Get Rob on this.
I will. I'll put him in touch.
You guys got to follow me on Instagram, Joey B Comedy.
Joey B Comedy. Do you have any? You have shows coming up you want to plug?
This weekend, I have the honor of hosting the entire weekend at Comedy at the Carlson for Jay Farrow and AJ Foster.
Oh my God!
So I'll be hosting in Rochester this weekend. Next weekend on the 8th, I will be performing at the primetime 9 p.m. Broadway Comedy Club show in Manhattan.
Oh, that's cool, dude.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then on the following week, the 15th, I will be in Friendsville, Pennsylvania at the Coconut Inn.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I got a couple things coming up, and then after that, I have nothing. So if you guys know somebody looking for a chubby lesbian-looking comic, I'm in.
Perfect, man. Perfect. You and Patton Oswalt, it's all coming together.
Nice. Oh, dude, I'm way hotter. Come on.
That's like his open. I think he talks about that in his opening joke or something.
Way hotter.
Joe, I just gotta ask you real quick. I gotta ask you real quick, Joe. Which of us has hair that bothered you the most today, and why was it me? Is it my frizz? It's my frizz,
it might be
isn't it?
No, the only thing that's bothering me the most is why don't you have sheets on your bed? That's it.
Oh, I do. It's a quilt.
Oh, gotcha. Oh my God!
I don't have pillows. I don't have pillows on my bed.
I missed the Civil War comforter you had there.
Yes.
Like that
It's on the other. Jason, it's on the other side.
Oh, it's a reversal. Oh, I missed that one. Just flip it over.
That way,
I would
Mickey
absolutely
feel like he's kind of going off the beaten path. He goes, "Hey, let's flip the comforter." And
I would finesse Jamie's hair if he let me cut it. If I cut Jamie's hair, I would absolutely kill it. He's got nice hair. I would finesse.
Listen, if you come down to the Sayre, we'll do it on stage while we're doing the show. You can cut
Listen,
it.
I got cordless clippers. Don't threaten me with a good time. Sir.
Listen to me right now. We have a bartender already on stage. We have a bartender. Maybe we need a barber and a bartender at each.
I could definitely fix Jason's mustache.
Oh, I'm actually may come to you.
You should, man. I'll take care of you.
Fix.
Come on, man. I'll clean that.
Nobody had even identified the problem, and he said fix.
Come to me Thursday. And let it grow. Let it grow out. Let it all grow out, Jay. Don't cut any of it.
Huge
let
thanks to our buddy Joe Becker for coming in. Dude, you got to come back and talk about your kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love your kids
appreciate
already.
you guys. This was so much more fun than I anticipated. Kate the Great, you were awesome.
Hey,
The
so
best.
nice to meet you. Thank you, Joe.
Hey, maybe you want to thank her. Do you want to thank Kate for just being
I
here?
want to thank Kate. I want to thank you for being just an awesome blonde. And, I really appreciate the corded headphones the entire time.
Yeah.
It's like
I gotta
it's
tell
a
you,
blast from the past.
I want to thank you and Jamie for showing the audience exactly what a dead horse being beaten looks like.
Perfect.
And also just to know when the laughs stopped about 4 references ago. Okay, guys? Hey, God bless. I'm here all week.
Well, apparently you don't know Tim Conway's School of Comedy because that's what we practice. We keep going until it gets more laughs. That's how it works.
Well, I guess we found our feature.
Yeah. This is we are going to be on Sirius XM this Friday. We're doing Larry the Cable Guy's Fun Bunch on Jeff and Larry's Comedy Roundup, so you can hear us there. We popping in. We have a little comedic bit for that, and also Jason, we have a big show coming up in a couple weeks in the Sayre Theater.
Yeah, absolutely, we do. I just want to say our sponsor for this week's show and also for the show at the Sayre Theater is the Danny Mini Marts. We want to thank them for helping make that show possible. October 14th and 15th, we will be live, Kate and Jamie and I, and Joe's going to stop by hopefully Friday, and we're going to be serving up some parenting comedy. You can get your tickets at BradfordCountyMovies.com or stop at the Sayre Theater box office.
I think that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Kate, we love you. You know that. Tina, she's the best. She's the greatest thing.
I can still hear you. I can still hear you. You don't mean for me to be hearing this.
Okay, that's it for this week on the Parents Lounge. We'll see you guys next week right here. Tell your friends. Follow us on iTunes. Subscribe. Write a beautiful review. Go see Joe Becker. Tell Kate thank you. And
tune in anywhere you get your podcasts. Good night, everybody.